Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we have something really exciting for you, as the new jungle buffs have gone live on patch 10.3. These are huge and have big implications on how to jungle. You definitely don't want to miss this one. We'll be covering all the changes, what exactly they mean, how they'll impact you, and how to take advantage of them to gain that sweet LP. Trust me, by the end of this guide, you'll have everything you need to know about this important patch. So let's jump straight into it with Riot's first change specifically targeting the Krug camp. The camp itself is receiving an overall buff. The total experience it gives is increased by 15 and the gold by 10. However, at the exact same time, they're actually redistributing the total XP and gold differently across the large, medium, and small Krugs. What you'll notice is that the large Krug is actually now worth less experience, with the medium and small Krugs being worth more. So what exactly is going on here, and why did Riot choose to make this change? Well, prior to this patch, junglers were actually taking advantage of the fact that so much of the Krug camp's experience was front-loaded on the large Krug. They would do this by only clearing the original large and medium Krug and then leaving. This way, they get that front-loaded XP while also getting the camp to respawn. This strategy of only clearing one large and one medium Krug would net you a total of 120 XP out of the possible 210. That's not too bad, almost the equivalent of farming a raptor or a wolf camp. However, with the redistribution, this strategy is weaker as you'll only get 112 experience out of a possible 235. Essentially, if you're going to kill your Krugs, you're probably going to want to clear the entire camp, small Krugs and all, from now on. Okay, now for the big buffs. Riot has increased the experience all jungle camps give by a flat 10. This is huge and is a straight buff to all camps and junglers. One thing to keep in mind is that this flat 10 XP buff is actually tied to your jungle item's passive, Monster Hunter. What this means is that if you're someone who doesn't have a jungle item, such as a laner, then you won't receive the benefits of these XP buffs when you clear a camp. So sorry for the laners out there, but these are strictly buffs for us junglers. In addition to this, they also buffed XP scaling from monster levels. Higher level camps will now give more experience than before. Most notable is when a jungle camp is above level 5, as it will give 5% more experience than the prior patch. One thing we did notice though was two small nerfs to compensate for these buffs. The first large monster bonus XP was reduced from 165 to 150. And for those of you confused as to what this means, basically the first camp you kill every game will give you bonus experience. This one-time bonus XP was reduced by 15. In addition to this, the red and blue buffs had their experience lowered by 5, from 115 to 110. Now, don't worry, these aren't actually nerfs, since the experience buffs we previously mentioned actually outweigh them. This is simply Riot trying to balance opening jungle routes and make sure that the buffs they give don't have unintended effects on them. However, since it is Riot, we took it upon ourselves to test all the opening routes just to confirm this, and we're happy to say no routes have been impacted. What we were most specifically worried about was a more niche route where you would 3-buff the opponent. Prior to this patch, if you were to start at the enemy's buff and then take both of your buffs afterwards, you would barely scrape by with enough experience to hit level 3. Upon testing, you still hit level 3 if you 3-buff the opponent, and interestingly enough, with 0 XP to spare, so good job Riot. Now, with a new season and a new patch, it's time that we updated our jungle camp gold and experience table. I know, these are a lot of numbers, but trust me, it's not as complicated as it may seem. The top half is where we've listed each camp. You'll find how much experience and gold they give at levels 1, 3, 5, and 7. We stopped at level 7 as this is actually where the rewards cap at. For those who don't know, even if you're killing, let's say a level 12 Gromp, it still gives the rewards of a level 7 Gromp. Below this, we've listed experience you gain from kills, golden experience from minions, as well as Dragon and Herald. This is to give you guys context and understand how much a camp is actually worth. For example, let's say you gank a lane and successfully kill a level 3 laner, and push out the lane afterwards with your teammate. You might find yourself wondering, how much is this actually worth compared to if I had just farmed one of my camps? Well, if we take a look at the chart, we can see a level 3 kill is worth 155 experience, and splitting 6 minions is worth 168, for a total of 323 experience. Compare this to a level 3 raptor camp, which is worth 157, and suddenly we see getting a kill and pushing out a lane at level 3 is worth around 2 jungle camps of XP. That being said, there's actually one extremely important thing to take note of on this patch. I want you to take a look at the difference in experience between a level 1 and a level 3 camp. For Krugs, it's the difference of only 1 XP, and for Raptors and Wolves, it's only 2. Yes, that's right, there's essentially no difference in rewards between a level 1 and a level 3 jungle camp. Well, that's not entirely true. There's actually one important difference, and that's the fact that level 3 camps are much harder to kill. This has caused a quite strange interaction not a lot of players have caught on to. Level 1 camps are actually worth more than level 3 camps. Remember, level 1 camps give the same rewards as a level 3 camp, but level 3 camps are much tougher to kill, causing you to clear them slower and make less experience and gold relative to the time invested. Essentially, you still want to look for those early ganks as level 3 camps are relatively weak, but once camps hit level 5, suddenly you'll find their XP rewards can jump up by 10, 15, or 20, so clearing them will be a lot more valuable than before. There was also one other change that's been flying under the radar, and that's a nerf to funnel strategies. For those of you who don't know what funnel strategies are, firstly, I'm jealous you've never had to play against them or with them, but it's when you lock in a carry jungle with a support mid laner. The most famous combo being Master Yi jungle with Taric support. Taric will build a support item, and Master Yi then picks up mid lane waves between jungle camps, funneling a ton of golden experience onto him. Before this patch, you would receive 10 less gold from lane minions if more than half of your farm gold is from minions. This effect would then be removed once you completed your jungle item. Now, this is no longer the case. They've increased the debuff from 10 less gold from lane minions to 13. And it's no longer removed upon jungle item completion, and instead is removed at 14 minutes in game. Keep in mind, you only get this minion gold penalty if more than half of your farm gold is from minions. This should not affect the average player, and instead is a specific nerf to funnel strategies. Just be aware though, if you're soaking too many minions in the game due to ganks or covering lanes, this debuff could actually kick in. Okay, so what do all these changes mean? Overall, jungle as a whole got a buff. Let's give you an example. Let's say you were playing an aggressive early game jungler like Lee Sin. On the previous patch, let's say your top lane and your mid lane were level 12, while your bot lane was level 10. On average, you'd find yourself being level 10, the same level as your bot lane. Now with these buffs, you should see yourself on average being level 11, not exactly the same level as solo laners, but higher than your bot lane. That being said, farming junglers definitely receive the biggest benefits from this, as they can make the most use out of the camps being worth more experience. Prior to this patch, in the highest levels of solo queue, you would find aggressive early game junglers being the meta. Lee Sin, Elise, Rek'Sai, and Olaf are a few examples of champions you might find your favorite challenger streamers playing. Since camp XP was so low, you would try to win the early game through ganks. You would essentially boost your XP from the experience you'd gain from kills and soaking minions afterwards. Now, with that no longer being the case, farming junglers have now become much more viable. These are champions like Shyvana, Master Yi, Graves, Kayn, etc. These are now much stronger. And no, the meta hasn't completely shifted or anything crazy like that. You'll still likely see the aggressive junglers in the absolute highest levels of play. Instead, it's increased champion diversity and made it so farming junglers can actually be an equally viable option in a lot of cases. And to celebrate that fact, we'll be going over one of my own replays playing a farming jungler, Graves, where I'll walk you through step by step exactly how to make use of these new XP buffs. Trust me, you don't want to miss this, the jungle kingdom is back, and as you're about to see, with the right decisions you'll even be able to be the highest level in the game. So in this game, I'm playing Graves against Zac, and I'm smurfing in Diamond Elo. We thought this would be a good elo to highlight, as it's either a goal of a lot of players, or as an elo players find themselves plateauing in. We're going to be keeping things simple. I start at my blue to get a strong leash from my bot lane. Remember, I'm playing a farming jungler. These are typically more carry-orientated champions that need gold, experience, and time to scale. So in the spirit of that, I'll simply be full clearing my jungle, taking my blue, Gromp, Wolves, Raptors, Red, and Krugs. A nice trick is when you're about to finish your route, you want to check the nearby lanes you'll be able to gank. In this case, I'm about to finish killing my Krugs. What two lanes can I gank after this? Top and mid, so I'll be checking them with my camera. The enemy Galio is pushed up mid and has taken some damage. There is a possible gank there. However, when we look top, we can see the enemy set is quite low in health. So I start kiting the camp closer towards top lane so I'll be able to gank as fast as possible. As soon as I hit level 4, I peel off the camp to gank top. Now there's something very important to keep in mind. When we go back to the start of the game, something you should always do is watch the sidelines to see where the enemy jungler is starting. The enemy top shows early, while bot lane is missing. This indicates that the enemy jungler Zac is getting a leash at his red. So if we jump back to our current position, there is one thing I'm worried about in the back of my mind. I want you to pause the video and tell me, what do you think it is? Well, since Zac started at his red, it means he's going to be pathing towards the top side of the map. So as I gank top, I'm acutely aware of how Zac could be here looking to counter gank me. I activate my sweeping lens to check for wards, and it looks like we're safe from a counter gank, so we pick up a kill on the low health set. With a wave pushing towards the enemy's tower, our teammate Soraka low on health, and Zac being on the top side of the map, I know that I need to help Soraka safely push out this wave to the enemy's tower before she recalls. This also benefits me since I can soak minion golden experience in the process. After I do this, notice how I immediately recall. Some of you may be wondering why I'm not going for the nearby top scuttle since it's spawned. On top of this, when we look mid, we can see Galio is low on health and mana along with their Syndra. Well, remember, we know Zac started red and pathed towards the top side of the map. And when we ganked top, we actually revealed ourselves on the minimap to the enemy. Since Zac didn't counter gank us, it likely means he either took the topside scuttle or has already beaten us to the gank mid lane. So my main goal will be to recall and head straight towards the bottom side of the map to try and secure the scuttle before Zac gets there. On top of this, my Gromp, which is the first camp I killed after blue, will be respawning soon. As I head to the bottom side scuttle, I make sure to ping for my teammates to come help since my bot lane has lane priority. This is due to the fact that Zac may contest me at the scuttle. After I take the scuttle, I quickly check the enemy's raptors. This is a bit high level, but basically a champion like Zac does a lot of AoE damage. When he starts at red, it's highly likely he'll do Krugs and Raptors afterwards because of this. So when I'm finished killing Scuttle, if we check the time, it's 4 minutes and 40 seconds. The first camp you kill after your buff typically respawns at 4:10, and the second camp usually between 4:30 and 4:40. So since I'm fairly certain Zac opened with red, Krugs, Raptors, I know his Raptor should have respawned by now. By invading, I'm not only seeing if this camp is up so I can steal it, but also for a bit of scouting information. The camp is alive, so I steal it, using Smite since I want to quickly get out of here as Zac should be arriving at the camp at any second. I then activate the Scryer's Bloom to get more scouting information and deny it from the enemy. As I retreat, take note of the minimap. Nearly all of my camps have respawned except for my Krugs. Remember, I'm playing a farming jungler, so my game plan is definitely to head back into my jungle to full clear. However, I notice the enemy bot lane is really pushed up, damaging the tower. My bot lane isn't in lane though, so I can't gank just yet. I make sure to wait in the river, outside of a possible ward in the brush. Unfortunately, our Nautilus takes a kind of weird delayed path and well, the flash afterwards we can just ignore, and the gank doesn't work out. However, we need to keep two things in mind. First is that my Caitlyn is now half health. Second is that Zac is on the bottom side of the map as he just counter ganked us. If I were to just leave this lane, I'd be leaving my bot lane in a losing position. With Caitlyn low on health, they'd get poked out by Jinx and Senna. If they try to push or go aggressive, then they could possibly be ganked by Zac. So I make sure to stay and help them push out the lane. This way, it gives them a timing window to recall. Immediately after, I spot my Syndra being a beast, 1v2ing the enemy mid and jungle. By responding as fast as I can, I'm able to pick up a free kill on the enemy Zac. With the enemy mid and jungle dead, along with the timing window I created by helping the bot lane push, I move to take the Infernal Dragon. Since I'm so low on health and have gold to spend afterwards, I make sure to recall. At this point, I have complete intention to full clear my jungle since it's now respawned for a while. However, I spot Zac gank top. Whenever you see the enemy jungler gank the opposite side of the map, you want to look for plays on the same side of the map you're currently on. I then move my camera to see if he has a red buff, and surprisingly he doesn't. This lets me know that his red buff is still alive. So after I take my blue, I move to invade it and steal it. And make sure to take his raptors afterwards. Keep in mind, by stealing these raptors earlier, we actually got the spawn timer on it. That's how I know they're alive and is one of the benefits of counter jungling. I then spot the enemy Zac gank in mid and move to counter gank. I can't get there in time to save Syndra, but I'm able to clean up the Galio. Again, I push out the wave to soak minion gold and experience, as well as stay for a turret plate. Since I'm playing a carry jungler, I'm really trying to maximize the amount of gold and experience I can gain. As I leave, I do a high level technique where I pull the mid lane wave into the brush. This will cause the enemy's wave to focus fire our minions sooner, causing them to outdamage our minions, and the wave will actually push towards my Syndra's tower, giving her an optional freeze. Since I'll be taking my nearby raptors, it means if she does freeze, I can easily re-gank mid right after. Of course, Syndra doesn't realize any of this and just immediately pushes the wave. Now, since my camps have been alive for a while, I move to clear my entire red side jungle. During this time, I spot the enemy Zac on a ward on the bottom side of the map. Again, when the enemy jungler shows on the opposite side, we want to look for plays on the side we're currently on. So I want you to pause the video and tell me, what should Graves look to do? Well, we could look to gank top, but the wave is pushing towards Zed. He's also full health, so it's not like we could dive him. The other two options would be to invade Zac's blue side jungle in an attempt to steal the camps. However, I have my sights on the Rift Herald. When we look at the in-game time, we can see it's 9:15. This is quite early in the game, and most importantly, turret plates haven't fallen off yet. This will happen at the 14-minute mark. So I want to get the Herald so I can use it before the 14-minute mark and get a ton of gold from turret plates. I use my sweeping lens to make sure I'm not being spotted in wards. However, as I move to the scuttle, I notice Set fighting Soraka top. As a jungler, whenever a fight happens like this nearby, you want to immediately react to it. Unfortunately, he gets low and backs off. With him being so low, it's unlikely he'll go aggressive again, so instead, I just walk the wave into the tower. This is for two reasons. First, if Set stays, we have a possible tower dive on him. Second, if he doesn't stay, great, we zone him from the wave and get some turret plates in the process. Now, with him disappeared, I check the nearby brush with the intention of stopping his back and possibly running him down. Clearly, I upset him, and so he pile drives me into his tower. My gun is simply no match for his 200 years of game design experience, and so unfortunately, we don't get the kill. I then moved to take the Rift Herald as originally planned, which I have to say, Graves is one of the fastest champions at soloing. So then we recall, and as we're about to leave base, you want to be thinking of which lane you'll be wanting to place the Herald in. A nice trick to help you decide this is to check the health levels of all the outer turrets. In this case, we see top is near full health, mid has taken a decent amount of damage, along with bot tower. You want to target the turrets with the lowest health, as low health turrets are a strong indicator that your teammate is winning their lane, along with the fact that it means you can possibly destroy the tower. So I'll be looking towards mid and bot. I head towards the bot side scuttle since it spawned, farming my wolves along the way to be extra efficient. After this, I spot the enemy Zac and get him low along with his flash. With the enemy Galio zoned on the top side and Zac having to recall, I recognize this is a perfect opportunity to use the Rift Herald on mid. Keep in mind, I'll be able to get 3 turret plates off this, which is equal to 360 gold, more than a kill. Unfortunately, my teammate Nautilus comes along for no other reason than to steal half of the plate gold from me. Afterwards, I move towards the dragon. I use my sweeping lens to check for wards, and with a control ward in the dragon pit, I figure that I can sneak it. Honestly though, this was a really bad call. Syndra teleported top, so we're outnumbered, and scenarios like these are exactly how you throw your lead. I then realized that the enemy actually had a ward spotting us that we didn't originally see, and that Syndra is top, so I called it back off. I stay at a safe distance, and for the most part, I'm willing to give up this dragon, but I notice the enemy bot lane is standing next to a wall, which means I can land a big Q as Graves. With how far ahead I am, and the fact that I have my ult up, I see an opportunity to possibly win the fight. I am able to do massive damage with my Q and ult combo, but this could easily have gone wrong, and I definitely shouldn't have started the dragon in the first place. I then move to full clear my jungle since all my camps are alive. After I take my wolves, notice how both mids are topside. As a carry jungler, this is a perfect opportunity to soak lane minions. So I head mid to push the wave and look to finish the turret afterwards. Unfortunately, Zac stops me. I ping for my nearby Syndra and Soraka to help me take the tower since it's so low, but Syndra apparently just really likes that scenery and decides to sit in a random brush. Not my problem though, I will gladly soak another wave and head back into my jungle to full clear. Zac then ganks top, making for an easy counter gank for me, and at this point, the game is essentially over. I'm 3 levels ahead of Zac, along with 3,000 gold. Because of this, I easily clean up the counter gank and push to destroy the top outer tower. At this point, I'll win any fight that breaks out. The main game plan will be to take dragons as they spawn, along with the second herald. After this, we use the second herald to push down mid, taking an easy 20-minute win. Alright, that's going to do it for this one. What do you think of the new jungle buffs? Let us know in the comment section below, as well as any questions you might have. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, and if you want to rank up and take your game to the next level, make sure to check out our website, skillcap.com, link in the description below. I'm Hexadecimal, signing off, and as always, good luck and have fun on Summoner's Rift.